and British universities must ensure relationships with foreign countries don't undermine free speech. That's what the government's free speech czar has advised.
Yes, so universities could be told to terminate or rewrite their arrangements with a foreign country, such as admitting international students on scholarships, stopping that if the relationship with a certain country prevents legitimate debate. So we want to find out what exactly a relationship between a university and a foreign state, how might that impact free speech? Joining us now is Tom Harris, a representative from the Free Speech Union. Tom, when we're talking about the relationship between universities and foreign countries, are we talking about specific relationships with specific foreign countries? Because I'm trying to think about how this could impact free speech on campus.
Well, it's draft guidance that is not actually specific, as we would expect. It covers all countries. But I think, by and large, it's clear that we're probably mainly talking here about China. The Intelligence and Security Committee has actually warned that Confucius Institutes in universities are being used to manipulate teaching and research about China. So there has been a lot of concern from that. And there's a huge dependence now from universities financially on foreign students who pay a lot more. So although it's not explicitly China, it's clear that a lot of the concerns have arisen from that. And we do have a case that we, at the Free Speech Union, we've helped someone called Professor Michelle Shipworth, who was actually suspended from her teaching her own course because there were concerns that it was about alleged, it was a data analysis course, actually, and a Chinese student was concerned by the provocative question that why are there so many slaves in China? And as a result, she was investigated, and UCL stopped her teaching her own course. So there is a lot of concern, particularly from China.
And China is a very, very interesting country when it comes to this, because there are what's known as students and scholars associations in UK universities, all UK universities, I believe, and they're basically an arm of the Chinese embassy, and that's sort of how Chinese students come to study in the UK. It's through the Chinese embassy. They're very interlinked, and sometimes it means that there can be embassy organised protests or complaints, and these can have a real effect on free speech in universities here.
That's absolutely right. There's sort of two networks, the Confucius Institutes and, as you say, the CSSAs. There's at least 100 of those, all based out of the embassy, and they link back and report back to Beijing. And it's not great for Chinese students, frankly. They want to come over to Britain and have a liberal education. They want to enjoy one of our greatest sectors, which is higher education. But because their own students, Chinese students, are spying on other Chinese students, they're denied that. So they're paying more, potentially being denied a great education because of it. So it's not even great for Chinese students.
And Tom, why should the average Brit care about free speech on campus and care about the influence of foreign states on our education system? If you're not a university goer, if you don't have children at university or grandchildren at university, you have absolutely no links to our academic institutions, why should we care?
I think we should all care about a sector that in all likelihood is going to lead to tomorrow's leaders in business, tomorrow's leaders in politics. Our higher education sector is a worldwide renowned gem in our cultural landscape. And I think if that is under attack and there's a potential conflict of interest there between where the cash comes from and the quality of the research and the quality of the academic freedom, that's absolutely a freedom issue and a freedom of speech concern. So I think we are all impacted by that. And actually in our casework, about nearly 25% of our cases at the Free Speech Union relate in some way to educational institutions, which, as I say, are at the heart of what we will be and the direction of our travel as a country.
Lots of censorship going on. Thank you very much, Tom Harris, a representative from the Free Speech Union. Thank you very much. Can you imagine, though, if professors, tutors at a university were looking through their syllabus and they thought, oh, gosh, we can't do that?
Well, you know,
we can't do that. We can't cover that topic because it might upset the Chinese state.
You know what? I've experienced it.
Go on.
When I was president of the Durham Union, back in 2016-17, I was hosting a debate, which was the question: this House sees China as a threat to the West. Now, it wasn't saying that that's what we believed. That was a question.
Up for debate.
On one side, we had the former Foreign Secretary, Sir Malcolm Rifkind. On the other side, we invited a woman by the name of Anastasia Lin. Now, she's someone who's been expelled from China for her human rights activism. She's a former Miss World contestant who's a great speaker. But we started getting loads of complaints into my inbox from Chinese students at Durham University, and they started to say, why are you hosting this debate? Why have you invited Anastasia Lin? She is banned from China. You can't host this woman. You can't host her. You can't have her
Were they copy
in your
and paste
debate.
jobs?
They were all very, very similar. And we were sort of thinking, well, this is a union that is hundreds of years old, founded on the principles of free speech. We're not going to listen because some students are upset. And then it got to the point where I was pulled out of a tutorial that I was in, told to go to the union office and take a phone call from the Chinese embassy. And so I was taking a phone call here from diplomats in the Chinese embassy saying, you have to cancel this debate. You have to cancel this debate.
Crazy.
At one point, they even threatened the UK's trade terms with China. I think they thought that I was perhaps a representative of the British state. I wasn't. I was a student. But I ignored them and I said, no, we're going to host this debate. We hosted the debate. It was a massive success. We heard strong arguments on either side. And frankly...
You know, it's a good thing that you were there to make sure that your university and its union upheld the values of Britain and our liberal democracy. If other universities are taking a weaker approach to this sort of thing and allowing foreign students from wherever to have such an influence on what is debated in our chambers at our universities, then that is ridiculous. Good thing you were there, Tom.
Well, I like to think that other people would have done the same, but it is intimidating when you're pulled out.
You don't know.
When
Some
you're
people
pulled
would be
out
bothered.
of a tutorial and you said the Chinese embassy is on the phone for you. I mean, like, goodness me, I was
Little 18-year-old Tom. Little 18-year-old Tom
I might have
Harwood.
been 19 by that time.
Were you a little
I was very
intimidated?
grown up.
Little bit intimidated?
Only a touch.
Only a touch. Anyway, coming up is Vladimir Putin.